Have you ever held the script of your life in your hands? It might not be a physical object, but you know it. You can feel its weight, its reassuring presence. It's a story whispered to us from our earliest days, a map drawn by society, by family, by the hopeful, optimistic parts of ourselves. It begins, as all good stories do, with a promising first act. The chapter of education, filled with the discovery of deep friendships, those intoxicating moments of self-realization, the tender sweetness of a first love, and at times, a sense of boundless, soaring joy. We turn the page, and the next chapter is career. A life's work that isn't just about survival, but about purpose. A role where we can truly express our talents, where we earn respect not just for what we do, but for the tireless effort we pour into it. It's a chapter where we feel seen, valued, and competent. Running parallel to this is the central relationship, the heart of the narrative. For many, this is marriage, envisioned as a lifelong bond built on mutual contentment, a profound friendship, and a passion that endures. And from this love, the next generation emerges. Children, lovely and charming, who seem to embody the very best of both parents. We see ourselves nurturing them, watching them grow into admirable, motivated, and resilient human beings, ready to start their own perfect scripts. Thanks to the marvels of modern science, this story promises us a long and healthy existence, both mentally and physically, well into our early 80s. Our own parents will pass away at a ripe old age, peacefully. And when our time comes, it will be swift, gentle, and dignified. This, in its essence, is the blueprint for a good life presented to us by our modern, secular, consumer-driven world. And it's no wonder, is it, that in our most optimistic moments, we want to believe in it. We cling to this script. We stake our happiness on its pages, trusting that if we just follow the directions, we will arrive safely at the intended destination. But there is a truth, a profound and often unspoken truth, that hums beneath the surface of this beautiful story. It's a truth we often push away because it feels too sharp, too frightening to acknowledge. And that truth is this: no one, absolutely no one, gets through life without a major off-script disaster. Something, somewhere, will go catastrophically wrong. This is not a possibility. It is not a random chance. It is a certainty. It is written into the very fabric of human existence, a reality woven from the threads of our own fallibility, of accident, of madness, and of disease. It's a guarantee, the great, unwritten chapter. Someone who is the very center of your world will be taken from you far sooner than they should be, in circumstances that are shocking and utterly unexpected. You will endure a monumental failure in your career, a failure that perhaps stems from a blind spot in your own character, a hidden flaw you never wanted to face, or simply from a brutal collision with the unforgiving realities of the economic cycle. A relationship that you believed was bedrock will crumble. Perhaps a child will grow to harbor a deep and painful resentment, or someone in whom you placed all your faith will betray everything you held sacred. Illness and death will arrive unannounced, like thieves in the night. A stroke in the middle of an airport, cancerous cells discovered in a body far too young, a brain hemorrhage that should have waited at least 2 more decades. The variations on these tragedies are as endless as they are terrifying. We do not know what the specific disaster will be. We only know that it is coming. An event so devastating it will stop us in our tracks, force us to question everything we thought was solid, and break our hearts. The only guarantee in the script of life is that at some point, we will be forced to confront a catastrophe that is not in the script at all. And if this idea, this quiet acknowledgement of life's profound fragility, resonates with you, if it feels like a truth you've always known but perhaps never dared to voice, take a moment to subscribe to Decode Explained. We are a community dedicated to navigating these difficult but essential human territories together, finding strength not in illusion, but in understanding. So, if this disaster is inevitable, what can we possibly do? Where is the comfort, the preparation? It lies, perhaps paradoxically, in turning to face this difficult truth head-on, in preparing for it diligently in the quiet, peaceful stretches of our lives. It's about building a different kind of strength, an inner resilience that doesn't depend on the script going according to plan. The great French philosopher Montaigne famously wrote, "To philosophize is to learn how to die." He could have added that to philosophize is also to learn how to endure. The practice of waiting for an unspecified horror is perhaps the only real defense we have against the cruelty of fate. This isn't about being a pessimist. It is about being a realist. The ancient Stoic philosophers had a term for this, premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. They would intentionally spend time imagining the worst-case scenarios, losing their wealth, their health, their loved ones. The goal wasn't to wallow in misery, but to inoculate themselves against the shock and despair of future loss. It was an act of psychological vaccination. By imagining the loss, they could more deeply appreciate what they had in the present, and they could rehearse their response, choosing to meet adversity with courage and grace rather than with shattering surprise. This stands in stark contrast to a common misconception of our times, the tyranny of relentless positive thinking. We are often told that if we just visualize success, if we refuse to entertain negative thoughts, we can manifest a perfect life. This idea, while well-intentioned, is a fragile shield against the realities of existence. When the inevitable disaster strikes, the person who has only ever practiced positive thinking is left utterly defenseless. Their worldview is shattered. They are prone to asking, "Why me? What did I do wrong?" They may feel that their failure to be positive enough caused the tragedy, adding a layer of self-blame to their already immense suffering. The Stoic approach, the philosophical approach, is far more robust. It says, "I will hope for the best, but I will prepare for the worst, because the worst is a genuine possibility for any human being." It is a quiet, sober strength, a readiness of the soul. Think of your life as a journey. The script we are given is a beautiful, detailed, laminated map. It shows all the approved roads, the scenic viewpoints, the safe harbors. For a while, the journey is smooth. The road on the map corresponds perfectly to the territory we see before us. We tick off the milestones: graduation, first job, marriage. We feel a sense of control, of progress. But the disaster is the moment you are violently thrown off the map: a sudden storm, a collapsed bridge, an earthquake that swallows the road whole. You find yourself in a dense, unfamiliar wilderness, with no path, no signs, and a tattered, useless map in your hand. The air is thick with fear. The silence is deafening. This is the moment of crisis. Your first instinct is to panic, to curse the map, to curse yourself for getting lost. "This wasn't supposed to happen," you whisper. This is the core of our suffering, the brutal collision between our expectations and reality. It's a state of profound cognitive dissonance, that wrenching feeling when a deeply held belief, in this case, the belief in your life script, is irrevocably proven false. What do you do in that wilderness? You have no choice but to start walking. And here, in this terrifying, uncharted territory, something remarkable begins to happen. Without the map, you are forced to develop new senses. You learn to navigate by the sun and the stars, your core values, the things you know to be true in your heart, independent of any external validation. You learn to listen to the sounds of the forest, to distinguish the call of a bird from the rustle of a predator. You develop a new kind of intuition, a deeper awareness. You learn which plants are nourishing and which are poisonous. You learn to trust your own judgment. These are skills you never would have developed if you had stayed on the smooth, paved road of the script. This journey into the wilderness is what the psychologist Viktor Frankl, a survivor of the Holocaust, built his entire philosophy around. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he observed that the prisoners who survived the concentration camps were not necessarily the physically strongest, but those who were able to find a sense of meaning and purpose even in the midst of unimaginable suffering. Frankl's most powerful idea is that between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. The disaster, the stimulus, is what happens to us. The response is how we choose to meet it. The script tells us there's only one acceptable response to life: success, happiness, and steady progress. But in the wilderness, you learn that there are other responses: resilience, courage, compassion, and the quiet dignity of endurance. You realize that your life is not defined by its adherence to a pre-written story, but by the meaning you create when the story falls apart. This is the beginning of a profound breakthrough. You start to see that the disaster, while excruciating, was also an initiation. It stripped you of your illusions, yes, but it also connected you to something more real, more fundamental: your own inner strength. It is in this wilderness that we must dismantle another common misconception: that to be strong is to be stoic in the modern sense, unfeeling, detached, and tough. When you are lost and hurting, the most common response is self-criticism. How could I have been so blind? I should have known better. I'm a failure. We become our own harshest judge. But as psychologist Dr. Kristin Neff's research on self-compassion shows, this is the exact opposite of what we need. Self-compassion is not self-pity. It is not making excuses. It is simply extending the same kindness to yourself that you would offer to a dear friend who is suffering. It involves three core components: mindfulness of your suffering, acknowledging the pain without being consumed by it; a sense of common humanity, recognizing that suffering and failure are part of the shared human experience, not something that isolates you; and self-kindness, actively soothing and comforting yourself. In the wilderness, self-compassion is your survival kit. It's the bandage for your wounds. It's the voice that whispers, "It's okay to be hurting. You are human. You will get through this." As you continue your journey, you may encounter other travelers in the wilderness, people who have also been thrown from their maps. You recognize the look in their eyes. You share stories around a campfire. And in this sharing, you forge the deepest, most authentic friendships of your life. These are not the fair-weather friends from the scenic viewpoints on the map. These are the fellow survivors who have seen the darkness and are not afraid of yours. The pretense of the perfect life is gone, stripped away by the harsh reality of the wilderness. And in its place, something far more valuable grows: genuine connection, vulnerability, and a shared understanding. You learn to drop your arrogance, because the wilderness humbles everyone. You learn a dark, resilient sense of humor, the kind that allows you to laugh at the absurdity of your own pain. This is real growth. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth. It's a profound and positive psychological change experienced as a result of adversity. People who go through it often report a greater appreciation for life, warmer and more intimate relationships, a greater sense of personal strength, a recognition of new possibilities, and a significant spiritual development. They wouldn't wish the trauma on anyone, but they acknowledge that they are a wiser, more compassionate, and stronger person because of it. They have not just survived the wilderness, they have been transformed by it. Eventually, you reach a clearing. The sun feels warmer on your skin. You can see the horizon again. You look back at the dark forest you emerged from, not with bitterness, but with a strange sense of gratitude. You see that the disaster was not the end of your story. It was the end of the script. Your real story, the one you are writing yourself, began the moment you were forced to leave the path. You realize that clinging to the original script was a form of naivety, a romantic lie. Your life hasn't gone wrong. It has simply become real. You are on the path that all human beings must eventually walk. You should never, ever feel uniquely persecuted for facing this universal, though often hidden, truth. So now, when you look at the world, your perspective has shifted. You have developed a profound appreciation for the ordinary. You understand the precious, fragile beauty of a boring day when nothing terrible happens. A quiet cup of coffee, a peaceful walk, a comfortable conversation with a loved one. These are not just filler moments between the big plot points of the script. They are the script. They are the substance of a good life. You learn to treasure these moments with a depth of gratitude you never could have accessed before. You recognize how much love and care you must invest in the things that are still, for now, going according to plan. The disaster has taught you what truly matters. And so, we learn to live with a dual awareness. We hope for the best. We plan, we love, we build. But we also carry the quiet knowledge that the storm will come. We build our house on solid ground, but we also build an emotional storm cellar. We don't know when the disaster will arrive or what form it will take. But because we have thought about it, because we have accepted its inevitability, we will not be completely broken when it does. We will not feel that we have been uniquely cursed. We will grieve. We will rage. Our hearts will break. But underneath the pain, there will be a quiet, resilient voice. And when that off-script catastrophe finally occurs, when that moment of devastation arrives, we can at least take a breath and whisper to ourselves, "I knew you were coming. And I have long understood that this too is what it means to be human."